Hello, hello, lovelies, and welcome to Love Life with Court. As always, I am your host, Courtney Irving, and if this is your first time tuning into the pod, well, here's a warm welcome, and if not, well, welcome back, my love. Today, we're doing things a little bit differently. Usually, lately, I have been posting my podcast where you can see me and not just hear me, but I am just not, your girl is not feeling hot right now. I don't know if it's the time change, if I'm going through some huge transformation. I don't know what it is. I always say that if I'm feeling like run down and just really tired, it's because some big life change is coming. My body and my environment is preparing for that. But whatever it is, I'm always open and receiving, but I'm just not feeling my best. And my first initial reaction was, okay, I'm skipping this week's episode. And I was like, no, I can't do that because consistency is key and it's not a habit that I want to get into. So I had some compassion for myself and decided, you know what? Just go in your studio, record your podcast episode. People are not tuning in to see your gorgeous face. They are tuning in to listen and have a conversation with one another, even though it's kind of one sided, but you're always welcome to reach out. Anyway, so yeah, I haven't been feeling the best mentally or physically. In terms of not feeling the best mentally, I've just been very down on myself lately, and that's it. I've been struggling a little bit with loving myself, which is kind of ironic because that's been the main topic on Love Life with Court. Maybe a lot of what I've been talking about is something that I need to hear myself, but I just have not been giving myself the compassion that I often give to others, and the grace and the patience. I've been so hard on myself. And the other day, I was taking a shower, and typically showers for me are like my creative space, my calm space, my safe space. It's just a place where I can kind of reset, wash off any energy that no longer serves me. And when I come out, I feel like a brand new woman. But the other day, I was in the shower and your girl was just spiraling. I was all over the place. I was so down on myself. I was thinking about every single decision I've ever made in my entire life, and I started panicking. I don't know where it came from. And that's where I say, like, I really think I'm going through some kind of spiritual awakening and something big is coming in my life, and my body and my environment and my mind is just preparing and essentially challenging me to see if I'm capable of getting through these challenges for something amazing and beautiful to come. I noticed that I was spiraling, and I immediately was like, okay, Courtney, ground yourself. Take some deep breaths. You are good. You are okay. Everything is fine. You have no reason to be scared of anything or freaking out about anything. Essentially, my fight and flight was just very much activated in that moment. And I just started giving myself my go to grounding affirmations that really helped me. And I was saying to myself that I am worthy of peace. I am worthy of love. I am capable of making smart and conscious decisions. I trust in the universe. My spirit guides, my guardian angels in the universe have my back. I am surrounded by love and abundance every day. I just kept going and going until I felt regulated. I went in fully today with the intentions to put out an episode on what to put in your self-care toolbox. But it's changing a little bit because honestly, I'm still figuring that out, and it would very much be calling the kettle black or calling the whatever that saying is. It would very much be like that, hypocritical, if I went on here and said, well, this is what you need to put in your self-care box to perfectly love yourself, because I myself am still figuring that out and still finding it challenging. And when I talk about things on this podcast, it's so that you can learn a bit more about what my journey has looked like over the years. A lot of the things that I come on to talk about are things that have taken me a long time to understand and get to where I am now. It's years of healing and years of overcoming different challenges. And again, I felt that it was just very hypocritical for me to come on here and be like, well, this is what you do, and this is what you put in your self care box, and this is how you love yourself. And because it's not something that I have been a pro at lately. So we're going to change it up a little bit and talk about what to put in your self compassion box. Because when it comes to self love, when it comes to self care, when it comes to your self love journey, and just connecting with yourself, all of that stems from your compassion, from having compassion for yourself. A lot of people will say that in order to be kinder to yourself and to show more love to yourself, you need to treat yourself as if you would treat your best friend, which is very true, but we're going to really explore what that looks like and talk about some different strategies on how to show compassion for yourself. And before I get started, what does compassion mean? Well, compassion literally means to suffer together. Among emotion researchers, it is defined as the feeling that arises when you are confronted with another's suffering and feel motivated to relieve that suffering. So typically, if you feel compassion, it is very much a selfless feeling. And that is why it is so difficult to have compassion for oneself, because if you're a very selfless person, it's difficult to be a bit more selfish for yourself. Now, to be compassionate for oneself and for others, it embodies things like empathy and sympathy, and the biggest one, which is forgiveness. Now, in terms of self compassion, this means treating yourself with the same caring and kindness that you would extend to someone you love or deeply care about, and if they were in similar pain. Some examples of self compassion are accepting the best and worst aspects of who you are, and accepting that mistakes show that you are growing and learning. We're going to get into that more, but the first thing when we're building this self compassion box is recognizing when you are lacking compassion for yourself. And this can be when you start saying things like, I don't deserve love, I don't deserve this money that I'm making from this good job, or I don't deserve this relationship that I'm in. I'm not a good person on the inside. When you just get into these ruts of essentially feeling like a failure, feeling like you are not deserving of the life you have or worthy of the life you have. Or it could be simple things, just like maybe you overate today and you're very down on yourself. And you're like, what's the point? I can't even go one day without overeating. Well, that's when it is so important to start practicing self compassion. When it comes to building this self compassion box, the first thing is to recognize when you are thinking anything that does not benefit you or serve you. Our thoughts become our reality. The words we say to ourselves become who we are. And if we are spending all of this time putting ourselves down, saying things that are not serving us, that's essentially who we become. I don't know about you, but I don't want to become the bad words or the bad things that I say about myself. We are our worst critic, and the world outside can even be harder on us. And it's so important to start from within, because how can we expect anybody else around us to treat us better if we are treating ourselves the worst? So that's the first thing that goes in your box. Now, number two is grounding affirmations. I talked about those in the beginning, and these are affirmations or grounding statements that just get you back in check, allow you to recognize, okay, I am good, I am centered, I am cool. For me, what those look like is exuding my worth, telling myself how worthy I am of goodness and kindness and love and self compassion. I am worthy of having self compassion for myself and loving myself. I am worthy of having those around me that love me. I am worthy of success. I am worthy of abundance. I am worthy of love, whatever those look like. And also using I understand statements. I understand my worth. I understand my mind. I understand I am good inside. I understand I am worthy of loving kindness. I understand I am allowed to make mistakes. I understand that I am not perfect, but I'm darn close. Whatever those grounding statements look like for you, and it could be very different. It could not even be affirmations. It could just be I am good. I am cool. I am calm. I got this. I'm a bad bitch. Whatever it looks like for you. Start using those. For me, sometimes I need that I'm a bad bitch. There can be times where I am making a big risk. I'm doing something that is very much out of my comfort zone. And that for me is my grounding statement. Now, depending on what situation you're in and how you're feeling, these grounding statements may differ. But the goal is to have in that box those statements that just make you feel centered, regulated, and calm. Once you are able to recognize when you are saying or internalizing anything that does not benefit you, your mind, or your body, and then able to use these grounding statements, grounding affirmations that get you back in check and back you in line, I want to dig a bit deeper. And this is not really going to be a tip, it's just going to be something that I want you to really think about. Now, when people say self love and self compassion and your self love journey, when people talk about that, they often correlate this cliche, I guess, where they'll say, treat yourself as you would treat your bestest friend. Now, of course, that's the goal, but I want to change your thinking a little bit. And I want you to think about somebody that you do not particularly enjoy in your company. It can be somebody, or it can just generally be a presence. It could be, people that honk at you when the light just turned green and didn't even give you a chance to step on your gas pedal. Or it could be people that are just very grumpy in grocery stores. Whatever it is, whatever it looks like for you, obviously, it's going to be different for everyone, but we all have a situation where it either makes us feel uncomfortable or it just downright, it's not our mojo. We don't enjoy doing it, don't enjoy being in those settings, and it's the last place we want to be. So, whatever that looks like for you, think about the words that you say to yourself when you're in those situations, and oftentimes the lack of compassion you're showing to that person. You could be the most compassionate person and empathize with essentially anybody that comes in your path, but I guarantee you there's a situation or there's a person in your life that triggers you, pisses you off, or it's just not your thing. It's not your mojo. I want you to think about that, and I want you to think about the words that you think or just that feeling that you have. And I can almost guarantee that it's pretty comparable to the lack of compassion that you have for yourself. Because when we compare, how we treat a best friend compared to how we treat ourselves, it's not realistic to ever think, it's not that it's not realistic, but if you're in the journey where you're just starting out on this self love and self compassion, it's very likely that you are treating yourself just as or worse as the people that you are surrounded by or situations you're surrounded by that are just not favorable in your opinion. I'll give you an example. Somebody honks at the horn, and this is my pet peeve. This is a situation where just for a minute I need to practice self compassion because I'm like, why are you in such a rush? So if I'm at a green light and like it literally just turns green and I'm about to lift my foot off the brake and then I hear somebody honk on the horn, I immediately go to a victim mode where I'm like, why would you do that? You didn't even give me the chance. I get so heated and so personable about the situation that I don't even give myself the opportunity to practice compassion for them. Think about a situation where that happened to you. You make a mistake. What is the first thing you say to yourself? whatever it looks like. And think about that situation where it's just not favorable for you. What is the first thing that you are saying or thinking? It's very similar, right? So, what I want you to do from this moment forward is practice compassion for the people that may not be deserving of it. Because when you start to train yourself to practice compassion for the people that are just not favorable whatsoever in your life, or the situations that are not favorable, it will begin to come easier for you to practice self-compassion, obviously for yourself. So I'm not going to say, oh, have compassion for yourself just as you would for her best friend, because we all know that's very difficult. But instead, I want you to begin to practice self-compassion just as you would now for the people that may not be deserving of it, because you are feeling the same way at this moment, that you do not deserve the self-compassion. And however you would approach it, I guarantee you're feeling, well, it's not true. I don't deserve it. I'm not good inside. I'm not worthy. And even if you're saying that to yourself, that you are worthy or you are good inside, I want you to start to believe it. And you're not going to begin to believe it until you are putting it out for the people that don't deserve it, just as you feel you don't deserve it. So that's your box. It's your self-compassion box. And as time goes on in your journey, that eventually could possibly become a box that goes into your self-love box. But it's all a part of the journey, right? So to summarize, first begin to recognize the thoughts or feelings that you are saying to yourself that do not serve you or benefit you in any way. If you are saying anything that is not an opportunity for you to grow, it's gotta go. If you ain't growing, it's gotta be going, okay? Now, number 2 is find these grounding statements, and you'll learn along this journey that these grounding affirmations actually become self-compassion statements. Now, so you have your recognizing your thoughts, you have your grounding statements and affirmations, and then you will also begin to practice compassion for the situations or the people that may not be ideal or favorable. It's easy to practice compassion for, someone who has less than you. Maybe you see someone on the street and they're asking for money and you're immediately sending them love and understanding. But it may be difficult if someone behind you in a car that's more expensive than yours is honking at you, or someone in the grocery store is just giving you a snooty toot. And think instead, I have no idea what their day looked like. I have no idea what they're going through. And all I'm going to do is send them love. Because with you, you have no idea what your love for yourself will look like until you begin to send you love. That's today's episode. Hopefully next week I'm feeling better and you'll see my face as well. I appreciate your understanding that I'm not on face, whatever. Someone's got to tell me what this word would be on video, on virtual faces. I don't know what it would be. That's today's episode. I love you all. And a friendly reminder to not only be kind to others, but also to yourself, which that statement is pretty fitting for this week's episode. Again, I love you. I love you. I love you. You are such a lovely person on the inside and out. You are good inside and out. You are worthy of love and kindness. And we will see you next week. Mwah.